Hi, I'm Brittany Rizzo, and welcome back to My Only Friends. On today's episode, we have Karen Cliche. Karen Cliche is a Canadian actress best known for her captivating performances in television series like Vampire High, Adventure Inc., Mutant X, Young Blades, and Flash Gordon. She is also no stranger to the silver screen and has been seen in Saw 6 and most currently Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, starring alongside Patrick Dempsey. We talk about learning to trust yourself, how it all gets better with age, and the importance of laughter. This episode reminds me of the Friends episode, the one with all the Thanksgivings. It seemed appropriate that I chose a Thanksgiving episode for today, and it's also the only Friends episode I would consider to be scary, considering Monica accidentally slices off Chandler's toe. And it also reminds me of the one where Joey has to hide his copy of The Shining in the freezer because it's too scary, which is definitely how I feel about scary things. Karen and her love for life and connection is infectious. Her new movie, Thanksgiving, is out in theaters now. I hope you enjoy my conversation with the beautiful Karen Cliche. Well, what's funny is that looking at you, you kind of, and the way you were speaking just now, you reminded me of Jen Gardner. Do people tell you that?
I've never gotten that, no, but
I
that's a
think,
compliment. Thank
yeah,
you.
she's just very like, it's your smile. She's so smiley and like welcoming and warm. And you're like, I'm going to make a tea. I was like, oh my gosh, that was very
I
Jen
can
Gardner.
watch your kitchen videos.
Yeah.
And it's so I do get that a lot that they're like, because I think because the characters I play are often like bitches and like villains and stuff. And so people are always like in person, like, wow, you're like nothing. Like, I say, well, I guess I'm a good actress, right? I don't know.
That's so funny. Already, I'm like, you smile too much to seem like a bitch to me.
It's all an act, the bitch part, the bitch part. This is the real me.
I'll never forget, like, whenever I take headshots, they're like, okay, smile. And I'm like, I'm not. And my face is just like,
Are
like
you
in
an
my
actor?
head, I have like this big shit eating grin on my face. And they're like, okay, smile now. And I'm like, what have I been doing the last 20 minutes?
That's so funny. So you're an actor too?
Yeah. Yep. First of all, tell me how I pronounce your name.
Cliche.
Cliche. Okay. I was like, Karen Cliche. What a sexy name. I'm sure you get that all the time, though.
I get it all the time. Yes, exactly. And people have even said, like, why would she change her name to Cliche? That's so dumb. I'm like, I didn't. There's no
Oh my
accent.
gosh. That is hilarious. Well, what's funny is that they just said like the word of the year is Riz. And I was like, oh, cool. That's my last name. So, and my grandma, she's 83 and she FaceTimed me today and she was like, "Oh, did you see that we're the word of the year?" And I was like, yes, grandma. So that was our proud moment of the day.
I love it. I have a 13-year-old daughter, so I'm very aware of the word Riz. Riz.
That's so funny.
Otherwise, I wouldn't know.
Well, it's so nice to meet you. And I want to
Yeah.
congratulate you on all the success of Thanksgiving.
Thanks. Yeah, it's definitely surpassed our expectations.
Yeah.
Just being such a universal hit versus just like a niche horror hit. So, oh my God, we're just so thrilled. And we're so happy for Eli and the rest of the cast that made it
Yeah.
to Thanksgiving too.
That is, it's really, really amazing. I watched the trailer. I got to be honest, I'm the biggest baby in the entire world. So, horror films like that, like I am the type of person where I am afraid of my own shadow. And and I mean, I want to get into all of this stuff about filming that movie, but first I want to get to know you a little bit more and how you came about into this industry. I mean, you are from Canada originally. So what got you, were you acting when you were in Canada and did you move to LA and like, okay, I'm going to try this out?
You know what? I'm still in Canada.
You are. Oh my
I
gosh,
am.
why did I think you were in LA?
Well, I've spent some time there, but I've
Mhm.
never ever officially moved there. So basically, what happened, life story wise, is that I think since I was born or since I was a toddler, I remember really just wanting to act. But I wasn't one of those show busy kids that was like, look at me. I was kind of shy and more, a little bit more reserved on that end of things. But it was just this kind of like secret dream that I have. I would act in my room and, cry in my mirror when I played Barbies. It was always super dramatic. So I really honed my skills through Barbie play, I have to say, till I was 12. And then I was like, well, this is embarrassing. We have to
No,
move on.
I love that.
So I always wanted, and I remember I used to like carve my name in park benches. I know it's terrible. I used to like graffiti. But I just had this feeling when I was like 8 and 10 years old, I was like, maybe this will mean something one day. You can't explain it. I had no reason
Mm.
at that point to be thinking any of this. I was this little Canadian girl, army brat who moved around every 2 to 3 years. So I was always the new girl, never had like any foundation. But I think that really helped me, growing up and like being able to handle this business with all the moving, the travel, the non-stability, the meeting new people all the time, the pretending like you're not shy when you are definitely shy. So all of these things kind of like hone those skills. And then in high school, I was in drama and, I would win drama awards and I was like kind of top of my class there. So that was really, I really knew that I loved that. But then I was like, okay, what am I really going to do with my life? And so I was really interested in activism and psychology and women's studies. So I went to university for women's studies. I just did one semester because I got offered to go model a little bit around the world. So I said, you know what? Peace out. I'm going to go try this and have some fun for in my youth. I was maybe 19, 20 years old. And then that kind of led into acting. I started auditioning and actually booked my first audition and just started working right away. So I was really lucky. Not that there were not slow times, there were, but I got it off to a really good start that really encouraged me. And it really gave me some confidence that I was on the right path. And yeah, so I just started booking kind of like series back to back. And I had a really great time in my 20s and, shot in Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, south of France, in England, Australia, Hong Kong. So it was a good time.
Wow.
And then when I was about, early 30s, I had my daughter and I gave it all up and I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom for a long time, and just focus on her and then try other things. I worked in advertising and I did other stuff. So now I've been back officially for the past couple of years. I
Hmm.
always did maybe one movie a year if it came to my attention or something, but I really was not in it anymore. But I was doing tons of voice work. So, it was a little bit one foot out and one foot in. So I was kind of like managing both sides of me and both personalities. And it was kind of weird at one point. I kind of didn't know who I was at one point, I have to say. But now I feel definitely, I was ready to come back when I came back and I'm so happy. So I feel super whole now. It's just starting to feel the wholeness is coming back. So
Yeah.
the whole story.
So when you were younger, did you say you were shy?
It's not that I was more, my sister was really shy. I was less shy, but I think I mastered the art of not acting like I was as shy as I was.
Mm. Hmm.
But I definitely was not the person. I was not a like leader. I was not the one who raised her hand. I wasn't like, look at me. We come from a very
Right.
kind of full family. So I think that that was just part of it as well. But yeah, no, I was definitely not like the typical, I want to be an actor kid. If
Yeah, 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 yeah.
thing, no, I wasn't. It was like this little, just an internal thing that I love to do.
Yeah. And you also, I mean, like, you got offered a modeling job while you were, you know, in school for psychology. And so you kind of have this like yes man attitude, like saying yes to things. And where do you think that comes from?
Oh yeah, you're totally right that I do. I have tattoos on my arm. One says no dress rehearsal, meaning like it's a one shot deal, people, let's do this. And
I
then my
love
other
that.
can happen. Like I really live by that motto more and more as I get older,
Hmm.
especially. Definitely it. But my dad was really adventurous, and also just the travel and seeing the world at such a young age. I
Right.
really just didn't have like this box that I thought life was. And yeah, I think I was just born with a really positive attitude and I'm really optimistic and I love life.
Mm.
So that all kind of comes into play when I'm making these decisions. I'm always thinking, man, if I died tomorrow, how would I feel? And that just kicks me in the butt. Like as soon as I start getting like, meh.
Mm.
So yeah, I think I was born with it, to be honest. I was always a pretty happy kid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And what would you say was like the first time growing up when you were watching like a performance or whether it be theater or television where you were like, oh, I can do this? Or like, oh, that kind of reminds me a lot of myself. Like, when's the first time you saw yourself in a character?
yeah, I don't remember like this specific one or specific character, but I do remember watching TV back then, and really just studying the acting, just being so interested in the acting and the actors, especially when it came to comedy. I was like, oh, that's good timing. that was great delivery. Like I was never just watching it like la la la. Just like when I said I played Barbies, I was never going, want to go to the store, Ken? Do you want? It was always like deep. And like, cause I always go deep really fast with everybody. Everyone who knows me is like, I know your life story within 5 minutes. Like I like connection.
Yeah.
But when I would watch TV, I remember even kind of going, ooh, that was bad acting. Like I kind of knew how to identify good and bad acting because I was really in tune to it. I think it was just like this natural, I don't want to say ability, but like a natural thing that I had in me. So I don't even remember I was just felt like watching shows and movies was always like that. I was always looking at the acting and then I would like internalize it. And then I would kind of like say, how would I play it? And then I would like do it in the mirror, you know?
That's so fun. I love that. Well, and to get to like the heart of acting, at the end of the day, it's make believe, you know? So if you're a kid and you love make believe, of course you're going to love being an actor because it is literally make believe.
Totally. And especially when, you know, the childhood wasn't like always so great. I think for me, it really gave me such an escape and it was kind of my therapy too. If I could cry there and not in real life, then that was my little escape. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I think definitely actors come from a place of, yeah, it's make believe, it's fun, but it's also an outlet for some pain.
Right. Now, were you like, when you watched the Barbie movie, you're like, oh, I already made this movie when I was 10 years old.
It was a little bit, I hate to say it was a little bit more sinister. Maybe
Yeah.
I wasn't as happy. I know. I said I'm happy, but I do have a dark side.
You
Okay.
had like 20 weird Barbies instead of like practical Barbie.
Exactly. Absolutely nailed it.
That is really funny. And now going to school for psychology, how would you say that has informed, characters that you've played? Because I would say like having that background has probably really helped you dive deeper into certain roles.
Yeah, you're totally right. Because so I teach acting here where I live.
Mm.
I teach at an acting school and I absolutely like love it. I never thought it'd be a path I would go down, but I was offered and I said yes. I was like, I'm not
Mhm.
qualified. I'm not going to do that. But then I went, Karen, stop it. Just say yes and try it. And so the approach that I have, because I'm not classically trained, I'm not trained. I've done some Meisner, I've done some improv classes like back in the day, but I always approach it from a very human behavior, psychological point of view.
Mm.
And that's how I break down scripts. That's how I break down characters. I don't necessarily like use techniques that I know of. I probably do. I just haven't studied them.
Right.
When I teach the students that, I really try to like ask them to just feel authentic when you're acting. Try to relate somehow to a character, relate to something instead of focusing on the technique. That's all going to come into play. I'll teach you that in level 3. But
Mhm.
in basics, I want them to just make sure that what they're saying is true and honest. And it comes from, they're not just talking heads saying words, they're actually feeling from their heart. And it makes such a difference. And then they click and they get it. And they're like, oh, that felt good. I'm like, there you go. And it looked good too. You nailed it. There you go. You just acted. So it's so
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
incorporate that together because it is psychology. It's human. You're playing another,
Mhm. Mhm. I
sometimes
love
an alien.
Right. I love that you said that because I think like myself included, a lot of us, and then especially now that the strike is over, you're like inundated with like, it's going to be so busy. You need to be at the top of your game and both. And not everybody can afford class all the time. And when you say that, like it really is just about being human. And like, and it's inspiring to think too, like, you have had a very successful career and you weren't, in class every single day of your life. And the world is class. Like your
Yeah.
friendships are class. The things that you take in with, other movies and studying people and just watching them or even playing with your Barbies, like it is all class. So I love that you said that because it definitely, I think me especially, like sometimes I really beat myself up if I take a really long time to get back into a class. I'm like, well, then I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know anything. And I'm like, well, I've also experienced life, so that's not true.
Yeah. Exactly. Life is your school. Honestly, I
Hmm.
say go and experience weird stuff, adventurous stuff, risky stuff. That is all stuff for your little toolbox to take out on set.
Hmm.
And then obviously on set is your class too. It's the best class being on set. So yeah, I say live life to the fullest. It's going to help you in your personal life. So it's not all about acting. Oh my God, we all know we sometimes don't work for months, sometimes a year. You can't have your whole life be about acting. You got to
Hmm.
keep this little compartment that is living and having a whole other separate identity separate from that. And then the beauty of it is that you're learning stuff for your acting as well, secondhand, but you're not obsessing about it, you know?
Right. Right. Now, can you recall a time on set where you were either just starting out or you were like, "Oh, I've got this down," and then you were on set with other actors and you had like a moment where you were learning so much by watching like a specific performer or by working with a specific director?
Well, yeah, I think that so of course, you start off with actor roles. So my first role was like receptionist,
Mhm.
whatever. But I think that I really just learned, it was very like just subtle learning. And I did always learn very quick, like I said, because I was always the new girl. So I learned how to observe, ding, 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 like really, really fast, take it all in, and then mimic or kind of just like take the lead. So I was very self-aware. So I think that that stuff just absorbed naturally with me. But I remember being so nervous. Like I remember at one point, like, when the mic is attached to your chest,
Yeah.
and I was so nervous about my lines all the time. I was so nervous to like forget my lines. And I had this big speech to say, and then the mic was attached to my chest. And, I had been surrounded by these actors who were like just making it look so easy. And my heart was pounding so fast and so loud that the sound guy was like, hold on, there's this pound. And I was like, oh my God, I think that's my heart. And so I like moved the mic and attached it to my bra. So it wasn't like on my chest. So just because I was like, why am I so nervous? Everyone looks like it's so easy. And I do remember on like the third job I ever had, it was a movie we shot in Australia, and I was working with Adam Baldwin, and it was a Francis Ford Coppola film.
Mm.
And I had to do this big, and I was really new at professional acting, really. And I had to do this big scene where I was like crying and I was like about to get blown up, and he's trying to rescue me. And I'm trying to tell him like, no, don't take off this certain thing that's going to activate the bomb. And he really helped me. He helped me kind of get to that emotional place. And he was really talking me through it. And I know that he was coached by Ivana Chubuk,
Mm.
who
Mhm.
a few years later came to Montreal, and I took a workshop with her. And then I told her, I said, oh my God, I worked with your student, Adam Baldwin, and he coached me your methods to get through this scene. Anyway, so that's kind of like a little full circle moment, but
Yeah.
learning from others is essential. It's the
Yeah.
best.
How do you combat that fear when you're on set? Like when because it is nerve wracking to be on set. Especially if you go, like you said, there's months at a time we don't work. And then you're like, do I still know how to do this? And like, oh my God, if I screw this up, all these other people don't get to go to lunch. Like there's so many thoughts going on in your head. And so, of course, that mine's like centered around food.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Oh my God.
But
Yeah.
how do you combat fear and like bring yourself back to the basics and like to the present moment when you are on set?
It's kind of a fake it till you make it thing. You have to talk yourself through it. You have to be like, I'm good. You have to believe in yourself. Okay. Because as soon as those voices start going in that you're not good enough, you're not good enough, you're not going to get this, you're toast. So the best acting you can do is to try to look like you're not nervous when you are really nervous.
Mhm.
So that's the part of acting that actors really have to master, and then go to technique. But it's really just, I was I was a little bit better at it. Like I said, I keep going back to my childhood experiences. And that's what's so funny about life, is that you never know what life is setting you up for.
Mhm.
And, I mean, there were weeks when I first started a new school where no one would talk to me and I had no friends, and I had to pretend that it was all good. And I had to, get my chin up and do all that stuff. So I think that that was really good practice. So I adapted pretty quickly to that feeling. But you really just have to go to a place of confidence. That's it. You really, really do, and fake it until you got it.
Yeah, and I'd imagine too, especially with Thanksgiving being, the last movie that you were a part of, you probably were able to use that fear.
Yeah. I sure was. Yes, I went all in. And you know what I love about those roles is that it's like, it's not, you can abandon yourself, because I think as women too, like, when you get cast as like, the beautiful woman or the this or the that, I just let all that go. I didn't care. I was like, I know I was just like my face, I didn't care about any of that. It was really just about portraying the emotion and the terror.
Mhm.
that's a beautiful place to go as an actor. And it's just such freedom. So that was really a very immersive experience because I remember just really letting myself go. And I would have to, after each take, I would just have to take 2 minutes, first of all, of silence for my voice because I was done, but also my head was just pounding. So it took
I
about,
bet.
yeah, because I was like, thrashing in this small enclosed space and just screaming sometimes for like 2-3 minutes at a time. So I just had to kind of regroup for about 2 minutes each time because my head was about to explode. And then you go back and we love what we do. We're nuts.
Let's do it again. Yeah.
Yep.
So how do you, because our bodies don't know that we're acting. Our bodies think that we're really going through that. And your brain really thinks you're going through that. So when you're doing movies like Saw or Thanksgiving, how are you mentally separating yourself and taking care of yourself during those filmings?
Laughter.
Mm.
100% laughter, joking with the cast, joking with the crew. On Saw 6, we had pieces of brains in our hair. We were having lunch together and we were
Oh my
just like,
God.
look at us. This is ridiculous. Like, what the hell do we do for a living? So lots of laughter in between so that I feel like that regulates me. I love laughing. I laugh through anything. So I think that that's kind of how maybe my body was just like, okay, everything's fine. Oh, no, it's not. Everything's fine. Maybe it's a little schizophrenic, actually. Now that I put it into words, I'm like, maybe it's not a good mental thing, but that definitely saves me. That lightens things up 100%. But what was funny is on Saw 6, I was newly pregnant. I had my daughter in my belly on
Oh
that
my God.
character scene and screaming for like 2 days. And when she came out colicky, I was like, oh my God, that's my fault.
Oh
It's because
no.
heard me, she heard me screaming. But yeah, like, so I was really wondering that. I was like, oh my God, like this little fetus in me is it scared? Like, is it
Mm.
affecting? It's so funny. So who knows? But I say laughter is the cure to everything, to be
Yeah.
honest.
So she's 13 now. Is she into scary stuff or is she completely opposite?
Yeah. Well, have you heard of Five Nights at Freddy's? So yeah, she's seen that 3 times. I went with her.
What?
Love that. Yes. It's not Thanksgiving level. It's PG-13.
Okay.
Good. She's not going to see Thanksgiving, I don't think, for another couple of years. I'm not sure, but yeah, she's definitely likes that. She likes that movie a lot. She is interested in acting, so we'll see where that goes for her.
hmm hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
I am like Halloween. The month of October is my least favorite. I stand fully with Santa Claus and merriment and cheer because I am such a baby. Like when was there a horror movie growing up that like scarred you that really terrified you?
Yeah, Exorcist.
Oh, I slept in my parents' bed for like a week after I saw that movie. They specifically told me not to go to my neighbor's house. She was older, and I was like 7 when I saw The Exorcist. And they specifically told me like, no, you're not to watch that movie. And I did, and they were right. And I was like terrified to sleep in my own bed. I thought the whole thing was gonna start shaking, and I was like, I can't do it.
I don't think I could watch it to this day, to be honest. Yeah, I don't like paranormal stuff.
Mm-mm. The
Like,
Sixth Sense ruined my life. It traumatized me so much when I was little to the point where even now, if like a cabinet is open in my kitchen, I freak out because the very opening scene, and I was obsessed with Pop Tarts too growing up. So all the cabinets are open, and then the mom's like, "What are you looking for?" And then Haley Joel Osment goes, "Pop Tarts." Every time I leave my cabinet open, I'm like, "Oh my God, there's a ghost in here. I gotta shut it." Like
like,
it's
oh my God, I
so
have to see
bad.
that again, actually. Oh
It is
no,
that
you are scared.
I am I am the biggest baby. Like, do you watch Friends at all when Joey has to put the book in the refrigerator if he gets scared? Like,
I love Friends.
if I read that much, my whole freezer would be full of books.
Oh man, so what's your favorite type of movie? Do you like comedies or like dramas?
Comedies, a cheesy rom-com comedies. I'm such a little kid at heart still, I think, where like I just watched Leo, the Adam Sandler like animated movie on Netflix, and like I'm tearing up over a lizard. Like it's not
Cute.
great.
Very cute. No, keep that spirit in you. We need more people like you in the
Yeah.
world.
I just am like, I just always want to be laughing. Like you said, like I always want to be laughing and I always want to be happy. Like the world is scary enough to me and sad and like we're inundated with these like stories, and I'm just like, if it's not making me laugh, like I can't. Was there ever like a part or one of the performances you saw that gave you nightmares? Like when you were on set, like could you not, was there like a day where you're like, I can't shake this feeling?
I can't think of one right now, but I do know that some people walked out on the set of Thanksgiving when I was in the oven and I was screaming. They couldn't, yeah, Eli told me that he's like, people were walking out. They were like, I can't watch this. This is horrible. I'm like, maybe it's because they liked me so much. It was so painful for them to watch me. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe my screaming was annoying them. I don't know. But I know that for them, even like we all work in the film business, they were, I don't know what department they were in, but I know that they couldn't watch it. So
How do you
for,
mentally prepare for a scene like that?
I don't know. I didn't, I mean, I can't say that I did too much. I can get in the moment really fast.
Okay.
I'm a really spontaneous person
Mm,
and I don't overthink things at
mm,
all. So it comes really easy for me. I can switch. I can be like, I really live in the moment. So, I can be like talking to you and then I'll be like, okay, I'll take like maybe like a minute and then I could go shoot that scene. I would just maybe need a minute to like get rid of this. But yeah, it doesn't take me like hours of preparation and all this work. And even when I know that there's some people who like score their sides and score scripts and write all these notes on the side. I just go by instinct. I
mm.
just feel like I just right away, I'm just like, okay, and it all kind of computes in my head. So yeah, I guess I'm lucky that I can really live in the moment
Yeah, and
easily.
you really like it's a testament to really trusting yourself too, which is like a really admirable quality to have. Like,
I trust myself now more than ever because, I mean, with age, right? I'm in my 40s now. And after being a mother, it is true what they say about being older and the wisdom that you get and life experience breaks you open, softens you up. You care less about what people think. All this stuff leaves you more vulnerable and more comfortable with vulnerability. I wasn't that much in my 20s comfortable. It's no surprise why I played all these like tough girls because I knew that girl.
mm,
I had a wall up. I had my armor on. And so now I just don't. And now I'm so looking forward to more roles that are going to be like that or more dramatic or more emotional because I feel like I can do it now. I trust myself now. I
mm.
wouldn't have trusted myself in my 20s to be able to be that open.
Yeah. So how did Thanksgiving come to you? Did you audition? Did you know Eli? How did it come into your life?
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Your agent sends an audition. You go, "What's this movie? Thanksgiving?" And at the time it was really busy. I think it was like January, and so I was doing a lot of auditions, and it was kind of like one of those days. I had three, did them back to back, sent it in, and then 2, 3 weeks later, I get cast. Didn't get a call back, no Zoom, nothing, and that's when I went, "Oh, okay. So what's this about?" And then I wouldn't realize it was, I watched the original trailer in Grindhouse and I was like, oh crap, this is wow. And then when I heard it was Eli, I was like, oh my God, I've seen Hostel and I was, I knew of him. I knew of him as an actor too. And I was like, oh, this is great. So I was really excited about it.
And how was it? I mean, can I ask how it was working with Patrick Dempsey as a huge Grey's Anatomy fan?
And so I was too. And so
Really?
yes. And honestly, talk about like I had nerves. I don't get nervous that often anymore because I've been doing this for 25 years or whatever, but I was a little nervous around him. I have to say, I was like pretending to be like super cool, but I just was like, how much do I talk to him? But he was so great. He was fun and funny. Never thought he'd be funny. Did
Yeah.
not know he was funny. Really nice, just great. But I was a little nervous. I was like, wow, I cannot believe I am standing
Yeah.
right with an eggplant. Yeah, well, you haven't seen it, but those who have, yeah, I'm standing in front of Patrick Dempsey holding an eggplant.
Oh my gosh. It would
Yeah,
be so hard for me not to be like holding that eggplant, being like, it's a great day to save lives. Like
I
when,
kept it very professional, okay?
yeah, yeah. It's so funny because when I had watched Grey's Anatomy, and spoiler alert for people who haven't, they've got to know that he doesn't make it in Grey's Anatomy. But they have like this number you can call. And you call and it's Patrick Dempsey and it's his full voicemail that he sent to Meredith. And
What?
yes, and when I'll email it to you if you want it, because it's the full voicemail. And I was so sad when he died on that show. I would call it like once a week and be like, okay, no, 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 Derek's fine. Like,
Oh
I
my,
get too wrapped up in characters when I'm watching TV. Like, it's sometimes I could definitely separate it and look at it from like, oh, that's when they're doing the two shot in her coverage, and like, oh, that's definitely not her sitting for that coverage. Like, and I am like breaking it all down.
same, same,
And I'm
same.
like, oh, someone's hiding a pregnancy, but but then there's certain TV shows where I am like, no, these are real people and I cannot lose them. Like,
I'm the same with you. I felt the same with This Is Us.
mm,
Us, I was sobbing like uncontrollably on that finale, or usually every episode, but on that
mhm.
finale, I can't. What am I going to do without these people in my life? I was
Yeah,
thinking, yeah.
it's
So
hard. You have like you imagine like, especially with Friends right now in my head, I'm like, nope, they are all still together at Central Park and they are all in Monica's apartment. You cannot tell me otherwise because my sanity is depending on it.
that was awful, awful news. I can't.
It truly was, and it felt like losing a real friend, and I found myself being like, having a friend pass away, and then I'd be like, wait, I sound crazy, like I didn't really know this person in real life, but you spend so much time with these characters, and especially, over 10 years, like it's not like today where you can binge everything in one sitting. Like you literally spent 10 years with this person. So it is definitely is a strange feeling, and like kind of dissecting like our relationships to celebrity almost. It's very the psychology behind that, I'm sure you could break down better than I can.
Well, what's weird is I had just finished his autobiography two
Mm,
months before this happened, and so isn't that
yeah,
crazy? He wrote that right before, like,
I know. Just
life is
awful.
so weird, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm finishing it now, and there's times where I'm like, okay, I gotta take a break because reading it now feels a lot different than it would have been reading, when he was alive. But it's definitely more hopeful than anything. I think he wanted to help people, and I think he is. I mean, he's helped me, so that's one person.
Yeah.
Who would you say is the person you look up to a lot in this industry? Like, who was kind of like your North Star? You're like, I want to be just like that. Or were you like, nope, I'm going to be just like me?
Well, I think it's healthy to say that you're gonna be you and you're gonna have
Hmm.
a career. But I really admire. I mean, that's a big reason why I never moved to LA. Is, I mean, I
Hmm.
was working a lot in my 20s, so I kind of didn't want to leave a good thing and go down there and just have a shot at fame and lose all the work that I was getting here. That wasn't my goal. Was never fame. My goal was to work and to act and have this as a career. So, and also I just was like, I want to stay as humble as possible. I want to stay
Yeah.
as connected to other things that are separate from acting in Hollywood. Maybe I think I didn't maybe trust myself in my 20s to not maybe get lost in that a little bit. So I really wanted to stay grounded. Now I feel differently about it. I, of course, like I said, I trust myself more. I feel more
Yeah.
whole, be totally able to handle it better. But I admire people that, like, I mean, I've always admired Charlize Theron's career, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. From everything, her dramatic roles to her action roles were the same age-ish, I think. And how she handles herself in her life, and she keeps her private life private. And that's really important to me too. I need to still be me. I need to still be able to go walk around, no makeup. I don't want to
Hmm.
always on. That's exhausting. So yeah, I really admire her career and the way that she's handled it. And she's beautiful and she's a lovely person. And yeah, I would say that that's kind of my North Star, I would say.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you had that like self-awareness to be like, I'm not going to go to LA in my 20s, because I mean, that's what I did, and I absolutely got lost. I would say it wasn't even until my 30s, and I'm 32 now, where I feel like I'm finally on my feet out here and like know what I'm doing. Because my 20s, I had no idea. You trust way too many people, and you trust everybody but yourself, basically. So then you get lost, and then you think, oh, I have to be doing this, I have to be doing this, and you're not focused on anything on the inside for so long. It's all this like output constantly. So
Yeah.
I do that's a very interesting and like, again, an admirable quality to like know that much about yourself, to be like, I'm not going to, because I want to stay connected.
Well, I did the same with modeling before that, right? I was modeling a little bit when I was like 17, 18. I never wanted to. I was asked before, I was like, no, how could I be a feminist and be a model? Like it was so black and
Mm,
white. So dumb. But I was just really like, that's so superficial, blah, 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 blah. And when I decided to take the opportunities, I was like, okay, you can do this, but you can do this your own way. It doesn't have to be like, I'm a model. Look at me. I'm so full of myself. So I struggled with that for a long time. I wasn't the greatest model the first couple of years because I didn't want to be, I was too afraid to look arrogant and take care of my
mm,
looks too much. So I was really conflicted. But once I kind of settled into it and went, look, you're going to travel, you're going to have fun. And you know what? I didn't have one bad experience the whole time. My roommates were like, I'm still best friends with my roommate from Milan when we were 20. We lived together for 3 months and all we did was we didn't go to parties. We didn't get into any trouble at all. We just stayed and drank $2 bottles of red wine and pizza. And we just talked all night long and had deep conversations. So that was kind of my experience modeling. I really just, like I said before, it's about connection with people.
mhm.
So I don't have the crazy, drug models,
Right.
stories like that. And even with photographers. So I've been very blessed, I think, because I'm so focused on staying normal. Does that make
Mhm,
sense? I don't know.
mhm.
Knock on wood, knock on wood.
Yeah. Now, when it's a long day on set or you're having not the best day ever, what is the show you come home and you turn on and you're like, okay, I have a moment to myself and I just want to relax and I just need a good laugh, or you want your comfort? What show is it?
100% the Golden Girls. It's always been since I was young. It's my family's thing. Me, my mom, and my sister, we love that show. I follow all the Golden Girls pages on Instagram, so I get clips every day from it. It's just, I don't know why, man. It feels like home to me. These ladies are like my BFF. So like that is my show. Like
Mhm.
Friends for you, those Friends. Like for me, I guess it really shows my age, but I love everything about it. I love the characters, the humor. I really learned how to be a comedic actress through Dorothy, through B. Arthur, and those
Mhm.
roles. Yeah, so that is definitely my go-to. It just calms me down and centers me 100%.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I was watching it, I'm like, oh, Chandler, I would say, is kind of the Dorothy of the group, like that very sarcastic. I thought she said something like, "Well, who am I, Little Richard?" And I was like, that is such a Chandler line. Like, and so it's fun to see how those types of characters on sitcoms like evolved and like the different genders that they take on. So you would say you most relate to Dorothy,
Relate? Yeah,
or
I
she's your
think
favorite?
yeah, she's my favorite, but I would say that I relate to Dorothy for sure because I do have a bit of that dry, like darker sense of humor. So yeah, yeah, B. Arthur's my girl.
Yeah. And does it more so take you back to a certain time when you're watching it? Or is it one of those things like for me, like if I don't watch Friends for like a certain amount of time, I kind of feel like really disconnected. Like I'm like, oh, I don't feel like myself. And then I watch Friends. And I'm like, oh, okay, there I am again.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess there is a little bit of that. I guess there is a little bit of that. Like when I said like home, it feels like home.
Hmm.
Yeah, it really kind of grounds me. And yeah, absolutely. I would say that for sure. That is
Yeah.
that feeling.
And I would say Golden Girls has arguably the best theme song under Friends.
I sing it actually one time when I had to sing for an audition. I either picked a Natalie Merchant song because that's more in my tone. I'm not a great singer, but I can hold a tune. But I sang the Golden Girls theme.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
Yeah.
You know what? The first choir solo I ever had was the Cheers theme song. So there's
Wow. Look at that. Look at pop culture
that's
getting into
I
our
know,
lives.
right? What would you say? Do you have any like horror story auditions? Like, was there an audition you were like, oh my God, that couldn't have gone worse? But then you ended up like, you probably ended up getting it or something. I feel like the ones we think we do so bad on sometimes are the ones where they love the most sometimes.
Okay, so I've heard these stories from other actors, and I don't understand because that's never the case for me. If I bomb, it's a bomb. It's a bomb. I've never once bombed and been like, Karen, you got the part. No, no, no. When I nail it and I know I nail it, I usually get it.
Mm,
So for me, it's like, yeah, it's like, no, I know when I sucked, it's not happening. It never has. But I
Hmm.
do remember this one story when I was in LA. I was screen testing at NBC for a show called Young Blades that I did end up getting. And the role was a girl. It was a period piece. So it was in the 1600s, a musketeer show, sword fighting, horses, all of that. And I had to play a girl that disguised as a guy to get into the musketeer. So it was like an action role. Anyway, so it was me and two other girls, as you know, as screen tests are. And so I was the first to go in, and it was a small room, 20 executives all staring at me, like right in my face. Did it. It was okay. There was no like real magic to it. It was fine. It was fine. I did okay.
Hmm.
But I was kind of nervous. So anyway, so like, thank you, Karen, whatever. And I kind of knew that I was the first choice. So I left the room just going, man, I can't believe I blew that. Like that sucked. I could have done so much better. And then the two other girls went, and then I was about to leave. And then actually the casting director told me, just stay. And I was like, okay. So I waited till the other girls were done. And then she comes back to get me. And she says to me, she's like, hey, so she's like, I'm just going to bring you back in the room. So as she's bringing me back in the room, she says to everybody, she's like, we just reviewed the tape. The air conditioning was on and off, and it was really clunky during your audition. So we couldn't hear you well. So can you do it again? We're so sorry. And I looked at her, and the way she looked at me, she was kind of like
Like
winking.
wink, wink. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting another chance.
Oh,
Holy crap. And then I just nailed it and I got the part. So that was like horror story turned into a happy ending based on somebody giving you a friggin' second chance.
I
And
love that. That's
like,
really amazing. And it's true. Like it's people like that help you like that in your career that you remembered forever also.
yeah. And that's a great casting director when they can see through your nerves and see through the blocks and go, no, 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 let me get that out of her. She can
Hmm.
do that. Instead of
Hmm.
like, you forget it. Right. So grateful for that.
Yeah. And how do you deal, as much as you've booked and you've worked, how do you deal with disappointment in the industry?
Ugh, I mean, it's always disappointing. I guess as you go, it gets easier.
Hmm.
You don't get attached. You don't get attached as easily to projects. It's just one of those things. I mean, there are some times that it hurts more than others because either you really, really A, needed the job for the money, B, needed the job because you wanted it so badly, and this could be life changing. I think just like with life, you just really have to be in the moment, let it go, hope for the best, do your best, because you never know in that audition. You may not get that part, but you're going to get something else from it. That casting director is going to see you. So I look at it like that now, instead of like end game is not getting the part. It's just doing my best all the time and putting out amazing auditions so that one day something's going to come of it.
Right, right. How would you say that you maintain your mental health like on a day-to-day basis when you are filming, really heavy scenes, or you're dealing with being a mom and also working and teaching students where you have essentially even more kids that you're, caring for and molding the minds of. So what would you say keeps you centered and maintains your mental health?
Definitely my friends, my cats. I have two boys. I always have two cats. And I just really go back to basic stuff that I love, which is, yeah, like I said, like my friends, hanging out with them, talking to my friends is my therapy. Um, I've been so busy lately, but I've read a lot of books. I read a lot of, quote unquote, self-help books, listen to those podcasts. I go for walks, listening to that anytime I need to kind of sort out what's going on in my brain. But definitely talking and laughing and having fun,
Mhm.
and and being around my cats. I'm a
What are
crazy
your
cat.
cats' names?
So we have Rain and Willow.
Oh my gosh. Of course, both of those names remind me of Taylor Swift because I'm obsessed with Taylor Swift. But
Well, they didn't come from that. I don't know. I think because he was abandoned at a barn and he was 4 weeks
oh,
old. It was raining that day. So my daughter and I named him Rain.
mm,
Willow, we were just trying to think because he's the sweetest little baby. And they're both still young. They're both 1 and 2 years old because we lost an older cat
mm,
a year ago. So yeah, I really just try to enjoy life.
mhm.
That's how I can bounce back really easily, is just by finding joy, laughter, connection with people, and surrounding myself with, like, I don't I really like to surround myself with positive things
Mm-hmm.
so that that's my security blanket, not people that bring me down or things that bring me down. I just always want to have like lot of like joy and light surrounded around me,
Mm-hmm.
kept me sane through the years. And
Yeah.
around a situation or a relationship or people that are not positive and they're kind of negative, it really affects me a lot and I have to get out.
Right. Right. And I think too, as actors, we're all very sensitive to energies and everything. So it is like when you're around people who drain you and you don't even realize it until you get in your car and you're like, I just met this person for coffee, but suddenly I need 3 more cups. Like, why am I so tired? Like, your body will tell you when it's not okay to be around certain people. And I think as, we get older and we trust ourselves more, we start going like, you know what? I didn't feel that great after being around this person or in this environment. So I'm just not going to do that anymore.
Absolutely. You have the choice. You have the choice to surround yourself with who you want, and negative and complaining people are no, no, thank you.
Hmm.
Done with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is there a quote from any like TV show or movies that you say often in your daily life?
I don't know. I feel like, oh gosh, a quote that I say in my daily life. I don't know. I mean, I have the two quotes that I used to say all the time on my arm, like tattooed on me. So
Yeah.
I don't need to say them anymore. But I used to say a lot to myself as well that, thoughts become things. That was always like a big reminder
Mm.
too. So I don't know. I just think really positive, short things. And yeah, I think I'm going to still be tattooing them all over my body just because it's such a quick reminder anytime I get into a little spiral.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, they're always like little positive, short and sweet things that just kind of like bring me back to realizing that I'm going to die one day. And I know it sounds morbid, but I don't see it that way as like a sad, depressing thing. I really see it as like, what if it's tomorrow, man? What are you going to do today? Like, how
Right.
did you feel today? How did you feel today? So that's the best motivator.
Right. And I heard Jamila Jamil on a podcast, like when she was doing The Good Place, she'd often get the question all the time of like, are you afraid of death? And she would say, no, not that I'm finally living a life that I'm proud of. And I've
Exactly.
always thought of that. And I try to take that with me every day of like, am I proud of how I was today? Am I proud of how I honored today? Am I proud of how I treated people today? And like, if you are, then like, okay, like you've got nothing to lose. Like, and you just don't know when it's your time. But to go through life, just like imagine like your last moments on earth being so mad about something so small. Like, what a waste.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think the same way too. I'm like, you know what? I would not want to die. I do not want to die, but
We're
I,
telling you
I
guys that now. None of us.
yeah,
Don't
hey,
take
hey,
us.
hey. Oh, wait. Not packing my suitcase yet. Calm down. But it's more just like, yeah, that would really suck because I feel like I have so much to do. I'm just coming back into my own skin now. I'm just coming back
Mm.
literally from what I feel is 13 years of not being my authentic self. And but I would definitely be like, you know what? If that is my time, I'm pretty proud of the life that I had for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now you said you didn't feel like your authentic self for a while. What was the moment that you found yourself again?
It was when I started teaching a few years ago,
Mm.
and I have students that are kids to 70 years old.
Mm.
It was just this beautiful interaction and the feedback from them and the impact that these acting classes were having on them and their outside life.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them were there to become, actors. They were there to get self-confidence and
Yeah.
grow as people and try something new. And so that started to really, I was like, okay, I feel this spark again. Oh my God, like and then getting back and then calling my management team and saying, okay, do you guys want me back? I think I'm coming back, and starting to audition again and to work again. And that's when I started to feel like, oh my God, there I am. There I
Yeah.
am here. Oh my God, this is me. Cause, I was living a life, I was like, I was mostly solo parenting. My husband at the time was traveling a lot. I was working in advertising. I was working in sales. I was doing a bunch of events. I was managing events all over the country. I really loved it. I just dove into a bunch of different things, but they were all pieces of me.
Yeah.
So I was fragmented and I was completely devoted to being a mother. And then once that kind of like all that stuff not went away, because I'm obviously still a mother, older now. And then I started to actually give myself permission to live my life.
Mm-hmm.
It felt really good, and it's feeling better and better every day. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think too, like, you know, I think some, especially living in LA, people are afraid of aging, like terrified of aging. And I have found that aging has made me feel younger somehow in a way because I feel more free. And you think when you're young, you're like free and happy and all these things. And now I'm like, no, I'm 32 and I feel free and happy. And like every year I get older, I get happier and more free. So I'm like excited about aging.
Oh, girl, you have no idea once you hit your 40s. I'm telling you, I always heard that on Oprah. All
Hmm.
these women in their 40s were always talking about it. And I remember I hit 40 and I was like, okay, where's that feeling? And it didn't come right away. But after a couple of years, I started to feel it. And now I'm telling you, mid 40s is when it just like light bulbs start going off and magic happens. And all of my friends who are my age make big decisions in their life of just finally like, you know what? Either it's ending marriages or it's career stuff or it's a bunch of things. It is just magical what happens because it is that freedom to just be like unapologetically you.
Yeah. I love that. And I think too, like seeing in the media now, especially with Barbie and Taylor Swift and Beyonce, like women are so freaking powerful and amazing. And I don't know if you watch Lessons in Chemistry. I just finished that also. It's an incredible show on Apple TV. And it it's just so inspiring for women. I feel like this is the year of women being like, we're not apologizing and we can do really incredible things and we will boost the economy and nobody's going to say sorry for it.
Yes, and older women too. Like,
Hmm.
10 years ago is when it all kind of started. I remember watching The Good Wife. That was the first show that for me,
Hmm.
I was like, this is different. And ever since then, there's been a trend, but it's not a trend anymore. It's a real thing. It's ongoing of women in their 40s and 50s being the centerpieces of shows and stories. And they're some of the best shows out there. And
Hmm.
everybody agrees. So I'm so glad that that shift has happened because it's amazing. Women, as we get older, there's something really special that happens.
Now, if you could be in a comedy, because you really love comedy and you've done comedy before, but you've mostly in the most recent you've done horror. So if you could be in a comedy, whether it be movie or TV show with anybody, who would it be?
Well, it's funny, actually, after Thanksgiving, I did a comedy in Toronto. So
Oh, you
I
did?
yeah, I was there in October, just a few days on set. It was this, like a really, really funny script. So we got to improvise. So, I went from horror to that, which was great. Who would I want to be with? Oh God, like I mean, I would actually love to host SNL one day.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
I literally was just
What you
about to ask you if you wanted to host SNL. Like, I
stop.
feel like you would be so good at that. That's so weird.
That is like I've never vocalized that. This is the first time I'm saying this, but I'm so ballsy in these last year or two in my life that I'm actually going to say it, and I'm like terrified as I'm saying it now. But one day, obviously, I'm not big enough now to be of any interest in them. But I think that would be the scariest thing I would ever do. But I'm ready for it, and I think that it'd be so fun. So that is actually my answer. I would love to be on SNL.
I love that that would be the scariest thing you ever did, but not dying in an oven.
No, no, that's the scariest thing for you.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, you are so right. Oh my God. That is so funny. Well, and talk about being like, just letting it all go when you're on a horror set. Like you have to do that in comedy and especially on SNL. And like, I don't know if you watched Emma Stone on SNL this past weekend.
Yes, so
That
good.
that last sketch with in the music studio, I my jaw was on the floor because I was like, how is this woman so like she looked ridiculous and she was being so ridiculous and moving her body when she's like pretending she's like I come up all herky jerky. I was dying laughing. I'm like, how does she still look stunningly beautiful? But it's because she didn't care about what she looked like and she was like, I am going for this. And it was the funniest sketch I had seen on SNL in years. Like incredible.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh
But
my
you're right.
gosh.
Maybe the secret to comedy is freedom. You
Hmm.
have to be free. You have to have your mind just completely open And that's when the magic happens. But yeah, you cannot be restrained in comedy. You have to let it, that flow, that energy, and the ideas come to you, especially for improv. So yeah, that's so fun. I'm in such awe of, like, I'm not saying at all that I'm up to par with those people. I would just go and just be so, I would just be learning, talk about, like, I would just want to be learning everything I could from them because they're just geniuses.
Yeah, but let me tell you, after talking to you for the past hour, that if one word can sum you up, it's like brave and courageous. So I think that you could absolutely do something like that, because from saying yes to modeling to doing these really amazing movies and with insane circumstances and just being open to what life has to bring you, like, that's very brave. And so I think that there's no doubt in my mind that you could host SNL and it would be amazing.
Thank you. That's very sweet, because bravery is something that I do work at.
Mm.
I force myself to be courageous and brave. It's something that I do work on. So thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. So that
Yes.
motivates me to keep going.
Yes. Now, before we go, I just wanted to ask you, is there like a piece of advice that someone has given to you that has really changed your mentality? Or what is the best piece of advice you would give somebody, whether it be in this industry or for their mental health or, when teaching?
I would say that but more, it's mostly because I'm giving a lot of advice now, as a teacher. It really is to, let go, like loosen up, let go. Okay. So not in like a loosen up, like calm down, but really in a, just to lighten up about life, and to not be in your head so much, because that just blinds you. It blinds you. It keeps you like looking inwards all the time. So I would just say, like, look at life on the bright side if you can, but really just look at life as opportunities every day that you wake up. I love mornings. So every day that I wake up, I'm like, what's going to happen today? I still believe that every day something great's going to happen.
Mm.
That's why I'm like a less fan of nights, because I'm like, if nothing amazing happened that day, I'm kind of like, meh, okay, let's go to sleep. I want to wake up tomorrow because I might get an email that's going to change my life. I might meet someone that's going to change my life. So yeah, I'm definitely a morning person. So I would just say, like, the other tattoo that I have it says anything can happen, because I really believe that every day, well, anything can happen, good or bad.
Mhm.
So just to believe and be hopeful and lighten up, let go, and just enjoy life, man. We got one shot at this. So, and that applies to everything. That applies to your acting, that applies to living, relationships, and all that stuff. So that's my wise words of wisdom that I've been sharing lately.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. What is your next tattoo going to be? What's your next reminder?
I don't know. I will email you when I think of it, but I will definitely get another one. But you kind of have to stop at one point as an actor. Like, the hours in the chair gets longer and longer because there's more stuff to cover up. So it's going to be a small one, probably
Yeah.
hidden. So I'll think about it. I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
All right, Karen, this was so amazing. You literally, like, I can feel your energy through the screen and my cheeks hurt from smiling because I've just been smiling listening to you this whole time. So thank you so much for your time and everything you had to say. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm so happy. Look, maybe during the day with the lights on and with a group of people, I will watch Thanksgiving in its entirety.
Good, do it, because you know what? It's scary, but it's not as scary as you think. Okay. It's got a lot of other stuff to it. So just trust me and go with your support group, go with your blanket, go with some wine. I don't know. You do you, girl. Do what you need to do. But thank you so much for having me. This was a really nice, lovely chat. The exact kind of talks that I love. So
Oh,
thank
that makes me so happy. Well, because I adore you, I will watch this movie in its entirety.
you.
You have a new
Great.
fan, and I am will be watching everything you do. And hopefully in, not a whole lot of time, I will be like, oh my God, did you guys see Karen Cliche on SNL? I'll be
Yes. Oh
talking
my
with somebody else.
God.
Let's manifest it.
My
I
pants
manifest
just
it.
hearing you say that, but I gotta go clean up now.
All right. Have the best day.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.